No Boundaries Podcast, Josh Sapu, Quincy Kelly, downtown Charlotte on a beautiful Wednesday evening. And we have a special guest.
Indeed.
And you know, we've had a history of black sports online. You know what I'm saying?
Coming in the building,
giving us this crazy. I don't even know. Like this is swagger. You know what I'm saying? And one thing we love is seeing women of color, African American women, doing a great job in this business, excelling. We have Sheena Quick in the building.
Hey everybody.
How you been?
How you doing?
I have been splendid. How you been?
Hey, taking a day at a time.
Yeah, taking a day at a time. It's definitely a holiday layover right now, but you know we still got the New Year's to go. But I'm definitely excited about the New Year. Definitely.
It's like that weird time between Christmas and New Year's where you don't even really know what's going on. You don't even really know what day it is. You're just kind of existing.
Like
look,
Kim,
I was about to say that like
it was Thursday, Wednesday.
But you know, jumping straight into it, Carolina Panthers, this whole ownership thing, Jerry Richardson. First of all, before we even talk about the ownership, as far as Jerry Richardson and the comments he made about the scout, the whole sexual harassment allegations, what was your whole take on it?
My whole take on it, I was less surprised that it had a racial undertone. Earlier in the season when you had the Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling at the anthem and things like that, I watched the team very, very closely kind of to see their response to it. And I feel like a team is a reflection of its owner. So I was not shocked that we didn't see people kneeling. I didn't expect to see anybody kneeling on the Panther sideline. That's a very, very close team.
Right.
Yeah, it's a close locker room. They're really close to the owner. And, I mean, we're in the South.
Yeah.
You know, nobody should really be all that shocked. I'm not saying that it's okay and it should be accepted, but I was more surprised by the sexual harassment more so than the racial comments. But what I thought was interesting is that the racial comment kind of got buried when they're talking about Jerry Richardson. You don't really hear too much about that or too much detail. And I don't know if it's just because of the Me Too movement that's going on, that the sexual harassment is getting, you know, at the forefront. But I would be interested in learning if the scout was one of the people that they paid off with the settlements.
Right.
You know, you don't really hear, there wasn't much detail at all. It was just, he said he made a racial slur. But then you're getting all these details when it comes to like the sexual misconduct allegations.
Definitely. I mean, with this whole situation though, were you surprised? Because we knew that in Jerry Richardson's will, he was going to sell the team after he died. He wanted to sell the team. Were you surprised that it's just like the way it happened?
If this happened at a time that all the other stuff wasn't going on, I would definitely be shocked. But right now, I'm not surprised that was his response.
Right.
I'm not surprised because with a lot of these accusations that are coming out, these guys are going ahead and willingly stepping aside, which makes me think that there's some merit to these accusations. They're kind of stepping to the side, you know, handling stuff out of the limelight with the settlements and things like that. But I would have thought that he would have communicated it to the players and the coaches a little sooner than he did.
Right.
And also as well, it's definitely miscommunication.
Yeah.
How have you seen the players in the locker room kind of react to this situation? Because, I mean, if you think about the Carolina Panthers this year, it's been so much turmoil in that locker room with the organization, whether it be Cam, kneeling, and now you look at the sexual allegations as well with their owners. So how have they responded with this?
For the most part in the locker room, they didn't respond. I think that Panthers PR, the public relations, did a really good job of preparing them. The only time we really got to ask those targeted questions were in the press conference. And I mean, I think that that's a much more controlled environment. And to be honest with you, I don't really know that the players had all that much detail as the press had when the SI article came out. The Sports Illustrated article came out like an hour or two before kickoff. So at that time, you know, the guys aren't on their phones. They're getting in, you know, game mode. So I can only respond towards like the press conferences because I didn't see anybody actually addressing the players individually at their lockers about the allegations. And I think that was by design. There was always a PR person kind of close by, I guess, to kind of monitor that situation, make sure nobody misspoke. That's easy to do when you don't have all the details.
Right.
So I think that they actually did a really good job of containing that and keeping the focus on football in that locker room.
With that happening, now you have the new ownership, people wondering who's going to own the team. of course, we got to address the big elephant in the room, this whole Diddy situation. How serious do you take Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, whatever you call him now?
I take him very seriously.
Take him serious?
I take him seriously. Let me tell you why. Back in October, I covered the Revolt Music Conference down in Miami. It was my second year covering it. And one of the big subjects, one of the large subjects was black ownership. Because at that time, it was middle of October, you know, the anthem protests, all that stuff was gearing up, and everybody was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to respond? Are you going to respond? You had Donald Trump's comments and things that he made. But at the end of the day, when you look at hip hop and when you look at the NFL, there aren't any minority major owners in the NFL. So, you know, people can say what they want about these players and, oh, they're not standing up, they're sellouts, this, that, and the third, but this is a job, and this is how these men feed their families. So it's only so much you can do or say on your job that goes against what your boss feels and keep your job. But on the flip side, on social media, we see Snoop Dogg, we see T.I., we see Diddy, we see everybody addressing their concerns in an uncensored way, because who's going to fire them? They own their own platforms. So for NFL players to be able to speak out more on these social issues and things like that, they have to have some job security. And that security comes with having some black ownership when it comes to the NFL.
That's a fact.
I mean, you see how the magnitude that Jerry Jones had. I mean, shoot, he almost single-handedly halted Roger Goodell's contract extension.
That's true.
And so, you know, with that being said, I took Diddy very seriously. I think that the video made other people not take him as seriously. They were kind of like, oh, you know, that's just Diddy. I took him very seriously, and I would love to see him as well as some other some of these African-American moguls come together and purchase a team, because with the demographics of the NFL and the percentage of the league that is African-American, there should definitely be some representation at that level for us.
Right.
Also, as well, how receptive do you think the Carolina Panthers fan base would be if there was a Diddy that would be the owner? You know, because you think of, you know, Carolina Panthers, it's definitely the demographics lean more towards, you know, white Americans as well. So how receptive do you think the Carolina Panthers fan base would be?
That ain't gonna stop them from buying tickets.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
You don't think if Diddy owned the Panthers and changed some traditions and
swag? Because
I don't think that he would change that much when it comes to tradition. I think that the Colin Kaepernick comment was made to kind of just stir the pot a little bit.
Right.
If I'm Colin Kaepernick, I don't even want to play in this league at this point. I'm looking to buy.
I
mean, I don't want a league that doesn't want me.
Exactly.
You know? But I don't think that he would change too much of the traditions. I don't. You know, a lot of people joked about the halftime show, but I mean,
people gonna buy tickets.
In my opinion, I would rather see a Diddy sponsor halftime show than Montel Jordan that we got that day. Where did they find him?
Jordan, that's crazy.
I was like, where did y'all find Montel Jordan?
But let me ask you this: how did you feel about your video going viral, all on World Star?
I was shocked that it was on World Star, first of all. Thank you for telling me that. So I did reach out, so they're going to give me credit for it, thank God. But I'm not surprised that it went viral, because I feel like I speak for a lot of minority fans, being that I am a woman and that I am black. So I try to ask those questions that, you know, people are asking me. Like, well, what is Cam think? I mean, that was naturally what people wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know. And I couldn't wait to get in there and ask him. I knew that we would get a very Cam-like response.
Right.
So about it going viral, I'm just glad that it's reaching more people and that we're being more represented in the media. I do think that African-American women are a double minority when it comes to sports media, and I do think that we need to be more visible to the public. So I am glad that it was able to get out and people were able to, you know, get the answers that they wanted.
Also, as well, matter of fact, when we was talking to Vashta, one thing we was talking about is, you know, media that was owned by blacks. When do you think it will be a platform with sports that it will be 100% black owned? Because like I said, that's something.
I'm working on that.
And that's a beautiful thing, because I want to know, because think about it, you know, it's so much with, you know, hip hop and culture and black culture. We have so much influence within sports. So why not have our own, you know, media outlet?
I'm working on that. Without saying too much, that's already in the works. A pilot has been planned and we'll be shooting really soon here. And due to the distribution channel that we're trying to go through, it's going to be seen worldwide.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's something that we're really working on, and we want it to be perfect when we pitch it. So we've kind of taken our time on it, and it's actually worked in my favor because so much is going on in Charlotte. I have no lack of content. So that's something I'm really, really excited about. I can't say a lot about it right now. But you guys will definitely be the first to know.
Woo! That's what I was waiting for you to say.
That's something that's been on my mind so much because I was like, man, when are we gonna come together? And like I said, we are the pioneers. I feel like in sports and entertainment. So why not we own something? Why not we get on it?
The second that came into mind, I was in the middle of an interview with James Cruz. Wow. I don't know if you guys know James Cruz. He's the CEO, founder of Cruise Control. He's actually Diddy's manager.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I was asking him after his panel how he felt about the things that Donald Trump was saying. He was like, well, it's bigger than Donald Trump. I'm against everything he stands for. He was like, hip hop has the muscle. And like I said, there's the black ownership. There's that you take the fear of, losing your job or losing your livelihood. That disappears when you own your own platform and your own.
That's true. Right.
So as soon as he said that, I was like, ding.
Somebody had to come up with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really, really, really excited about it. I think you guys are going to love it. I think the masses are going to love it, and it's the perfect merger of hip hop and sports culture.
I like that. I like that.
It can reach a really wide demographic. I'm pretty much an old school girl, but I can keep up with the up to date stuff. But I'm really excited. I've been working really hard on it.
Do you feel like ESPN kind of is already trying to bite off that by doing like Sports Center? They
can't. Yeah. They can't. ESPN isn't black owned. So it's going to lack some authenticity. You saw how they got Jamel Hill up out of there.
Exactly. That's why.
So this is going to be unfiltered. It's going to be raw. It's going to be something that we can all relate to. And by we, I don't mean just African American, but all minorities can relate to. You can flip on and see people that look like you. Right. Asking questions that you would ask in a manner that you would ask them in. And I think it's something that has not been done before. I'm kind of shocked it hasn't been done before, but I'm happy because that helps me.
That's your avenue right there. That's your avenue.
It's definitely my avenue. So it's something that I'm really excited to be doing and hope to get out to you guys by the end of the first quarter of 2018.
That's what's up. But, speaking of black ownership, LaVar Ball, right?
I love LaVar.
Oh, so you love
I'm a fan.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
So I'm a fan of LaVar the businessman, LaVar the dad.
Wow. Okay, see, that's an argument me and Q Kelly have had back and forth, right? So LaVar Ball, you're married to LaVar Ball, and he's the dad, father of your kids. What necessarily don't you like about what he's doing with his sons right now? Is it the added pressure he's putting on them? Is it maybe just him being a loudmouth and putting more of the attention on him? What is your personal problem with his? My
personal problem is when it comes to the discipline. He has 3 boys. I have 3 boys. Leangelo, isn't that the second? Leangelo, I don't want to mispronounce it. But to take him out of school because he was being punished for something that he did that was wrong, that is actually a punishable offense by jail. I didn't agree with that. I thought that he should have just taken it on the chin and took the punishment because he did the crime. Why are you still in Louis Vuitton shades?
I think that's something nobody
in Asia.
Exactly.
Have you not seen Broke Down Palace? They will keep you there for life. So that part I didn't agree with. But when it comes to black ownership, I think it's amazing that he did. He brought the big boys out for Lonzo. Everybody stepped their game up. Right. Trying to get, I didn't agree with the price point.
$495.
Yeah. Because I feel like the demographic you're trying to reach and the people you're inspiring are young black men. Yeah. And I'm not spending $495 on sneakers for my kids. Exactly. I mean, you guys are grown men, and I'm pretty sure y'all roughed up a couple of pairs of shoes yourself. Yeah. So I felt like now his reasoning for that was, well, you spend that on Gucci. But Gucci is more proven, number one. Right. Yeah. And number 2, kids ain't wearing, not that many kids are out here trying to ball out in Gucci sneakers.
Exactly.
That's fact.
So I think that I love the concept of creating your own lane. I love that concept. I just think he kind of just overshot it with the price. It put it out of reach for the people that he's trying to reach.
So even with this JBL, this big baller brand basketball league,
it's junior basketball
league, where he's gonna pay $10,000 to each.
It's gonna change. It's gonna change the game, and it's gonna force the NCAA to make these much needed changes that they've needed to make for a very very long time. Me being a former student athlete, I played a non-revenue sport, of course, but when it comes to like the football and basketball programs that generate revenue for the school, I don't think it's fair to tell that player, yeah, I'm going to sell your likeness, your image. I'm going to, basically make money off of your performances.
That's it.
And you can't get anything. But then they're like, oh, you got an education. But it's duly, I mean, it's mutually beneficial.
That's
Right,
it.
exactly.
And I do think that the players should be rewarded some type of sustenance outside of. I think when I was in school a long time ago, I want to say it was maybe like $1,500 per semester that you get for a clothing allowance.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't harp so much on players being paid if they didn't limit, even when you're out of season, like when you get a summer job, there's all these different stipulations of how much you can really earn, and you have to be able to live and survive. Sure, you're in the dorms, but I mean, you want to be able to have a social life too.
Exactly.
Right.
So I do. I understand. I don't know if this league and his announcing of the league is to kind of push the NCAA to make some changes, or if it's something that's actually going to come to fruition.
I think this is one of the best ideas that I've heard in a long time. The reason why I say that is because the NCAA has been getting away with murder for so many years.
Hand over fist.
Like, think about NCAA basketball. They make billions of dollars. Think about March Madness, how much money, signing deals with CBS, multi-billion-dollar deals. And like I said, to exploit kids, like you were saying earlier, like a lot of kids, okay, they may get a little stipend, they may get a free education, but look how much money they're making. These programs are making off these kids.
Exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like with LaVar taking his son out of school, would I have done that? I don't think I would have done that, but I feel like he knows that UCLA would have exploited his kids anyway. So I think he's going to try to make a lane for a lot of other people. Would it be something I'll do? No, but I get where he's coming. I see the vision where he's trying to go,
I mean, even if it's just enough to institute some change in how the NCAA, I mean, the system is flawed.
It is.
It needs to be fixed. Just like we saw with Louisville, I'm not advocating the strippers and all that other stuff that they were doing. But, I attended the ACC Media Day here. I want to say it was like a block or two over at the Ritz-Carlton. Yeah, and, the commissioner, Commissioner Swafford, mentioned that there are definitely some changes that need to be made. Not necessarily he wasn't just glossing over the fact that it was an ACC school that had all these infractions, but obviously, there's some type of alterations that need to be made. They need to be paid some kind of stipend or something. Something has to change.
Exactly.
Something has to change, and then it wouldn't be so, attractive to these guys to, take this amount of money to help their family. Because a lot of these guys, and I'm not saying just African-American guys, a lot of these guys are, at these 4 and 5 star schools, these ACC schools, Big Ten schools, SEC schools, and their families are struggling at home.
Yeah.
And that's usually what kind of makes them, venture over to the other side of that, to the dark underbelly of that. So even if LaVar's league is just to spark the conversation, it did its job.
Now, with everything that you cover, what sport would you say is your favorite? Whether it's NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA?
I would say NFL football.
NFL football?
Yeah.
Okay, and the second would be college football.
Second would be college football.
Okay. Now, what's your team in college football?
I'm about to get ready
This is
for
kind of hard for me because I went to both NC State and Florida State. So, anytime either one of those teams does well or both of those teams do well, it's a good season. I mean, they all pretty much always beat the Tar Heels.
You said who? You said Florida State always beat the Tar Heels?
Usually.
Okay, because what happened the last time?
I said usually.
Okay, I just want clarification. What happened the last time?
But you're talking about a team that kind of just staggered through the season. They didn't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
It.
I want to ask you a question, Josh. When's the last time UNC won an ACC championship?
What you mean?
When's the last time?
When's the last time NC State won an ACC championship?
I'm not an NC State fan. I'm a Florida State fan. I'm asking you. When's the last time? When is the last time UNC won an ACC championship?
1980.
Did you Google that?
Huh?
Did you Google
that?
that?
I'm just Tar Heel. I'm a true Tar Heel everything fan.
So you trying to brag about a team that hasn't won an ACC championship in over 35 years?
Hold on, time out. But we beat y'all.
But
time out.
Was that your bowl game?
That's exactly Florida State.
Hold up.
Let me tell you what Carolina did.
You so hypocritical. No. You so hypocritical.
Was that your bowl
Carolina
game?
beat Florida State. They went across the field and celebrated at the end of the game like it was a national championship.
as a Florida State basketball fan,
We're not
when
talking
Florida's
about.
hold
we ain't
on,
talking about basketball.
when
You
Florida
said
State
college
upset-
football.
When Florida State
Oh, stay
upset
in
Carolina
season.
basketball and they ran the court.
We're not talking about
That was
college
y'all
basketball.
championship game.
Stay in
Stay in
season.
one
See,
lane.
look.
Stay in season.
I want you to
Look.
focus on one thing at a time and stay in lane.
Look,
And that's
because you know
college
what's gonna
football.
happen.
You know, if you look at it right now, Carolina, like I said, your guys had a great, last 2-3 years prior because the recruiting that you guys had. But at the same time, we know that Carolina football is not for real.
Q
So
Kelly,
we-
hold up, Q Kelly. Did I
They
not
even
tell you
tried
what
to
was
have a
gonna happen?
scandal a couple years ago.
They even
They had
had
the
a
nerve to
scandal.
have a
When they
scandal.
were about to have a great season.
We had a scandal and we dusted off because we didn't. What happened?
Well, look, no, because y'all were still being investigated up until like a couple months ago,
Exactly.
And
weren't
what
you?
happened? What they say happened? They said we found nothing wrong. Let them go, guys.
Nah,
Let it go scot-free.
Let me
man.
tell you something.
Somebody's palms got greased now.
Exactly. That's exactly.
They know
what
better than Miss North Carolina.
Let
Now
me stop,
Florida
'cause
State.
I know guys that are on that team, so that were on those teams. So let me just stop.
Oh, who?
It's a rough subject for them. So I just kind of
Who? Greg Little.
No,
Oh.
actually, one of my former clients, because I used to do like financial advising
Oh,
for
okay.
professional athletes and athletes coming out of college. Deontay Williams.
Deontay Williams.
He's
Okay,
gonna kill
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Deontay Williams was one of my clients that kind of got caught up in that crossfire, but
Yeah.
he's actually a really, really good guy. So I don't really give him a hard time about it.
That's what's up. Now let me ask you this, and be for real.
Okay.
No bias.
Okay.
Do you honestly think, now that Clemson is the king of the ACC and king of y'all division, that Florida State with this new coach Willie Taggart can compete?
Absolutely.
Break it down,
Why?
to me, please.
Why?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody's so hell bent on this 7-6 season, which is they continue to streak for the most
Still a winning season.
winning seasons in a row. But I'm not going to get into that. But I think that Willie Taggart is going to bring some spark back to Florida State football. That being said, Florida State has been a traditionally predominant team. They make very few changes, and that's a gift and a curse. That's what ended up making Jimbo walk.
That's it.
But my issue with the way that was handled is the money is going to be spent. It needs to be spent anyway. Florida State should absolutely have the top-notch, best of the best football facilities year in and year out. But they're so stuck on tradition and so hesitant to change. I think that Willie's going to come in there and blow that out of the water.
Exactly.
Like the money had to be spent, whether you spend it with Jimbo or whether you spend it with someone else. It's going to have to be spent. But I think Jimbo had ruffled so many feathers and those relationships were so severed. He pretty much had to leave.
He had to go.
Do you think Jimbo will be good at Texas A&M?
He's going to go over there and get beat by Alabama every year.
That's it. He's
And
gonna
y'all
go
not
over
gonna
there.
get beat by Clemson every year?
Look, Josh,
Listen.
don't ever
Oh,
disrespect us.
my
But
Let me
Nick
tell you-
Saban, he's going to get beat every
Exactly.
year.
Let me tell you why Willie Taggart is an awesome hire. For
He's going to
Florida
bring the
State.
swagger back.
He's going to bring the swagger back. Not only that, Florida State was the fourth slowest offense in the country this year. With all that talent they have, 4- and 5-star recruits, we couldn't score the ball. Our defense lost the swagger. Everybody knows that Florida State had, one of the most, talented defenses, swag, brought that enthusiasm, and we were losing that spunk. So with Willie Taggart bringing his energy, his youth back, he's an awesome recruiter. And one thing he has done, program in and out, is turn programs around and bring them to an upside. And I think with the recruits that he's going to have, bringing the up-tempo offense that he's bringing, a lot of scoring as well, I think we're going to have that swag back to beat Clemson. Like I said, Clemson is doing a great job. Dabo, to me, I think he's the second best coach in college football. But I feel like Florida State, with the recruits we're going to have and the new coach, we're definitely going to be right back on the top soon.
Sheena, now I know you don't know us that well. Let me tell you something about my co-host, Quincy Kelly. He can make something sound so good, you think he's TD Jakes preaching.
Oh, my God.
But in the end, it's always BS. The first game of the year, Alabama, Florida State.
Yeah.
Who said Alabama was going to kill y'all?
We didn't get killed. First of all,
Stop
our quarterback got hurt.
Stop it.
Quarterback got hurt.
And not only that,
Stop it. And
Come on,
who
now,
put him
that's
out the game?
That's a very different game
That's
with
a very
Francois
different
in the
game.
Y'all was
It's a
gonna lose that
very-
game
It's a
regardless.
different season. It's a
Exactly.
a whole
Think
different
about it.
season.
Y'all was
Josh,
going to
be
lose
real.
that game regardless.
Be real
if
with
you
me.
finish the game or not.
No. Now, what I said before we even started is that one thing that Florida State has not been good at is developing a backup quarterback.
That's right.
They put so much faith into that starting quarterback. They don't develop the backup the way that they should. So if you have a situation like this year when the starter went down, I mean,
That's the season.
That's it.
That's the season. And,
because Blackman just wasn't ready.
And that's bad coaching. That's bad coaching.
and
That's a bad philosophy.
That's
I'll
a
agree
bad-
with you
and
on
let me
that.
tell
That's
you
a very
something.
bad philosophy.
That's why Jimbo had to go, because at the same time, look, with Jimbo,
You wasn't saying this 3 years ago.
That's why Jimbo had
First
to
of
go.
all, the roster that we had 3 years ago was one of the top 10 rosters of all time. Think about all 21 out of 22 starters that we had went to the NFL. So that's not going to happen every season. So when you don't get that type of roster, you have to be able to coach guys and not only that, adjust to the talent that you have on the roster. Jimbo is stuck in his ways, and that's why I feel like when you go to A&M, it's not going to work. And with Florida State, you have to adjust to the kids you're getting.
Well, I wouldn't care if it worked anyway. He got, what, $75 million
Exactly.
guaranteed?
And close to an incentive of maybe $80 million.
Let me ask y'all this. Who is the best Florida State player of all time? If y'all had to give. Matter of fact, just give me a top three. Top three Florida State
You go
players,
first.
all positions of all time.
Of all times. That's kind of hard. So much talent went through those halls.
I already got
so
mine.
much
I already got
talent.
mine.
Stop
I already got
it.
mine in
So
my
much
head
talent.
right now.
I got Charlie Ward.
Mm-hmm.
This is hard. I got to say prime time.
You got to.
Okay. I was nervous.
I already know who the third. I already know who the third.
You
gonna
can't
be.
have that conversation without prime time. My third of all time?
Of all time.
Offense or defense?
Offense or
All
defense?
around? I'm gonna say Jameis.
That's it. But
I gotta go with famous.
I was
Jameis.
gonna say the same thing, but if I can rank them 1 through 3, I gotta go with Primetime first because he was one of the first dynamic players in college football. Offense and defense did it all. Brought the swag to Florida State. Second, I gotta go with Charlie Ward because, like I said, you gotta pay homage. 1993 national champions, one of the first dual threat quarterbacks to do it as well. And like I said, and he was a dual sport athlete, played football and basketball.
Prime time too. He ran track.
Ran track
And played baseball. What?
and
It's
basketball.
three.
And then Jameis played baseball and football as well. And like I said, he brought the prominence back to Florida State, 24-1 as a starter. So, you know what I'm saying? If I can rank him, that's what it would be.
No love for Chris Winkie?
Man.
I mean, I love Chris.
he was
Winkie,
a
but-
Chris
two-sporter
Swanky
too.
was a million years old.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I'm sorry.
know,
I mean,
I love Chris
he
Winkie.
had so much. He had already lived life.
Exactly. I think he was, 24, 25 playing college football?
And it's so bad because I'm talking like this man is ancient. But when it comes to like players, I mean, he was up there. He was old.
Exactly.
He was
Let me
old.
ask you something. We across the street from Bank of America Stadium. You're going to be down, most likely, in Atlanta.
I
for
will
the
be.
big game.
Yeah.
You will be in. What is your prediction for the game? I want a score prediction. And then I also want, because we're not going to see you in 2 weeks, most likely. I want to tell us what the Panthers will do in the playoffs. We're going to start with you, then go to Q Kelly.
For the Falcons game, I got the Panthers 24-21.
Okay.
As far as how they do in the playoffs, I think that this team is primed to make a playoff run. I say that because at no given point this entire season have we seen a complete Carolina team on the field. They had all the stuff going on off field more so than any other team in the league. I feel like, from the comments, the female reporter comments to the stuff with the owner, the injuries and things like that went on. I think that team has had a laser-like focus.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, I had them picked to win the division at 11-5. With the Falcons at 10-6, which is exactly what their records would be if the Falcons are able to pull it off. But I'm gonna roll with the hometown guys when it comes to Sunday.
Right.
I think this team is really focused. They're doing all of this with 5 receivers that outside of Devin Funches, people outside of Charlotte may not have even known their names.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that that being said, Coach Rivera said that Cam is better this year than he was in 2015, and the untrained eye would be like, nah, he threw for such and such and such and such. He had a 98.2% passer rating. He's like at an 84 now. But as far as him being a more complete player, I think that Cam is more complete now because he had to be. He's a better player for the team in total,
Right.
As a whole.
Right.
That's kind of stuff that doesn't really show up in the stats.
Right.
We didn't see him running a lot early in the season. Now it's kind of opening up and he's getting these 60-yard runs, which funny story about that. He has a friend that told him he'll never break one for a touchdown. So he's kind of cursed so far.
Wow.
And we saw him almost get there 2 times this season. But I'm gonna roll with the Panthers on Sunday. And I think they'll go deep into the playoffs.
But you got to be more certain, like NFC Championship, Super Bowl.
That's so we got to see how they react against Atlanta and then the first round of the playoffs first.
I think so too. I think that's too far ahead to
too
look.
far
I mean,
ahead.
because especially in this league with people getting hurt,
That's it.
And I know I'm totally like hijacking your question, but what team do you think was hurt the most by the injury bug? Not the most injured players, but where injuries had the biggest impact.
Got to be Carolina.
I would say New York Giants. If
Well,
you're talking about,
if you talking about New
you
York
talking about,
Giants,
but if you're talking about playoff contenders, then I guess Carolina.
Y'all don't think Green Bay
Green Bay with Aaron
or
Rodgers.
the Colts?
Yeah.
well,
I mean, it's been some season. It's been a lot of.
Oh, in that
season
case, you
ending.
talking about everything. The Giants, they whole receiving
receiver core is gone.
Everybody's
right
gone.
down.
You know, you think about, they were one of the,
Contenders,
favorites
yeah.
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
in the NFC East, and you look at their season right now, it's a debacle. Coaches fired, everything. So you look at that. But as far as Carolina, my predictions, and I think Carolina will win 24-28. No, I mean 28-24. I feel like the game that they had against Tampa Bay was the game to lag off.
That was a gut check.
That was a good gut check to have right before, like I said, getting the playoff time. It's so pivotal for Carolina to play a complete 4 quarters, offense, defense, and special teams for 4 quarters. A lot of time when I look at Carolina games, man, it kills me because it's either the offense starting out fast and it flares out, or the defense give up too many big plays at wrong times in the game. And I think with Carolina, the ceiling, like I said, they have a high ceiling, but at the same time, we haven't seen them put together a complete game. So if I can see that with the Atlanta game, they come out there and play, tough, hard-nosed Carolina football, 4 quarters, and like I said, they come out with the victory. And in the playoff time, we kind of see how other teams are reacting in the last game of the season. Then I think Carolina has a chance to make it to the NFC Championship. But we got to see them play 4 quarters of football. And like I said, Josh, a lot of times I tell him, with Carolina, I feel like the problems that they have why they can't get over that hump is because their defense gives up too many critical chunk plays. And that's because the defense they play is kind of bend but don't break. They put a lot of pressure on their linebackers. And to be real, their secondary is not where it needs to be at to have an elite defense.
Well, I'll say, at first, they win a lot of games where they played really stingy defense, but they weren't getting any takeaways.
Exactly.
So now they're coming away. The secondary, I want to say they got Bradbury and Worley got their first interceptions of the year 2 games ago.
2 games.
And that was already week, 14?
14.
It was week 14. I thought that was big, especially since they had such a dominant pass rush. Now, as far as, last game, you saw Bradbury come away with the 2 PIs right back to back.
Yeah.
So my concern with that is that I don't want them to start playing off because Atlanta's not a team that you can play off with their
Julio
receivers.
going to get after it.
And Sanu, am I saying his name right?
Yeah,
Sanu and Julio, that could have been a very different game at Bank of America Stadium a couple weeks ago if he hadn't bobbled him and fumbled it.
Exactly.
And I was kind of hurt because, I wanted Carolina to win, but Julio was on my fantasy team.
Oh.
And I really think that the key to win to this game is stopping Devontae Freeman because look at
he opened that up. It's a wrap.
He opens it up, and you look at when Carolina has lost to the Saints twice, it's because I keep forgetting the run game, the running back number 41 for the Saints.
Kamara.
Kamara. So he's been killing them. And one thing about Carolina's defense, if you can kind of develop and with the ground attack, then you can open up a lot of things on the outside for Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want Julio and Sanu
hot
to get going, and then you look at Matt Ryan is checking down and he's killing with screens, and they got that ground game going. Then Carolina, everything is mixed up, and then you put so much pressure on that Carolina offense to
They can't take it right now.
They can't take it.
One thing about it is they drafted, Curtis Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. They on paper, their offense was very formidable at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't able to gel. Cam was out all preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Christian McCaffrey came on late. Then Curtis Samuel missed all the training camp.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then as soon as the season starts, you lose Greg Olsen.
That's
so
right.
you're not seeing everybody all at once. And even just from those dynamic skill players, the offensive line hadn't been healthy.
Yeah.
Both of the Khalil brothers, it's kind of like a
Rotating,
roller coaster.
yeah.
They're rotating in and out. Trey Turner's in the concussion protocol. Hopefully he'll be out in a couple of days. But I think that if we get a complete Carolina, a healthy Carolina team, I don't think anybody's touching them, but that's just not realistic right now.
It's funny how you say that because, we were up and down, helter-skelter.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what point in the season did Carolina get it together, Hugh Kelly? Was it when they traded Kelvin Benjamin? And somebody in this room said that we were going to go to the playoffs after that move and said that was a good move because, i.e., the Super Bowl when we didn't have Kelvin Benjamin and the offense moved freely?
See, I thought that would put too much stress on Cam to make a lot more throws downfield as well. And I think at the time a lot of the wide receivers, aka
We're
Demir
unproven.
Bird. Yes, Demir. Who would think Demir Bird would step up and have the season he's
Who
having?
thought the Super Bowl season that Philly Brown would step up?
We understand that, but if your thing is with Carolina, we know they can get to the playoff. We know they can be successful, but at the same time, can they put it all together? We know they have the pieces, but can they put it all together, Josh? So my whole thing with Carolina is putting all the pieces that they have together to make a great Super Bowl run. What they done it, and I hope they get back there. But at the same time, are you going to win it? They have the pieces to do it. And if I feel like if they don't get to the NFC Championship, this is a failed season. I feel like for Carolina.
One of the things that I thought was interesting when talking about those receivers today with Coach Rivera, and I actually ended up asking him the question about it. When people talk about those receivers, I feel like you have to mention Christian McCaffrey. I feel like he's been more of a slot receiver than a through up the middle running back.
Right.
It's just not there, and I see them do it every game.
Yeah,
It just drives me crazy.
there.
I'm like, please put him back in the slot.
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
It never works. He's getting 1, 2, 3 plays. 2 or 3 yards at most.
Right.
I think that he should definitely be looked at as one of the receivers. I mean, Curtis Samuel was kind of the same kind of tandem back. Where he could run or he could receive. But I think I think Christian McCaffrey's been the dark horse, and I was not sold on Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the season. I just
Same
wasn't.
here. Same here.
So I'm pleasantly surprised.
But I will say this. Going into this weekend, there's a couple scenarios. Of course, the most likely scenarios that we finish as the wild card and fifth spot. In that case, more often than not, we'll probably face New Orleans, who we've 0-2 against this year. The feeling in Carolina is we do not want to see him again, especially in New Orleans. Somehow New Orleans gets upset by Tampa, and we do get, that spot, win the division, at least get the 3 seed. We'll have either Atlanta, Seattle.
You don't want to see them either.
But at least at home, at the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
What scenario, other than, and there's the other scenario of us getting a bye, but then the Vikings will have to be upset by the Bears, and that's not going to happen. But
stranger things have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can see Tampa. I can see Tampa upset.
I can see Tampa pulling that
Right.
off. I can.
Jameis has been killing for the last 2 weeks, man. Last week he went 21, I think 26 to 27, 300.
How'd you feel about his temper at the end of that game?
I mean, the same thing that Tom Brady does. But I mean,
that's a whole nother
that's
show.
a whole nother.
show.
So I mean, it's the same thing Tom Brady does. But when Tom does it, he's just showing a passion for the game. That's
Tom isn't tan.
Exactly. So
I mean.
So
he put himself back when he did that eat the W, whatever that was.
Look, let me tell you, he's just an enthusiastic
But did you
player.
see Carolina Panthers?
Oh, they got him.
Troll him with that.
Hey,
Petty
Wop. Petty Wop. They got him back with that look.
Yes.
But let me ask you this, and this is kind of an easy question. At the end of Cam Newton's era, he will be ranked blank all time in Carolina history.
Number 1.
Okay. You agree?
You got to. I feel like Cam is honestly the first real franchise player for the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh,
and
that's a hefty statement.
I think so.
You got the Steve
because
Smith
nobody expected
faithful.
Steve Smith to be that.
Yeah, Steve
Smith.
That's true. But Cam is just a bigger.
Cam is polarizing.
Yeah, it's just like, bro, he draws his energy towards everybody, and I feel like everybody want to be around him. Everybody want to play with him because he just has that energy. So I feel like you can put Cam around any situation, and everybody's going to love him. Well, in the city of Carolina, North Carolina, and I think honestly, Cam should be number 1. Cause I feel like he's brought so much to this organization, just the swag, the enthusiasm. And I feel like he brought hope to the Carolina Panthers organization when he was
I agree.
leaving,
That's a good assessment.
True or false? Cam Newton is the new face of the NFL.
False.
Who would you put there? Odell?
Tom Brady.
Oh,
That's
the
who
new
they
face.
want.
The new face.
Ain't no new
JJ Watt.
Yeah.
JJ Watt?
Yeah.
So you say JJ Watt is more of a bigger figure in the NFL than
Of
Cam?
course.
Yes, because as many people love Cam, just as many people hate him.
That's it.
I mean, and
Can you
the
say the same
reasons
with
that
Tom?
people love him, all the attributes that you recognize are the same attributes that made people hate him on the Super Bowl season.
Okay.
Like, you either love Cam or you hate Cam. There is no in between.
That's it.
Okay. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Y'all not going to see this coming. The Charlotte Hornets will make the NBA playoffs. I knew it was a curveball. I told you, kids, I knew it was a curveball.
That's definitely a curveball.
I knew I was going to hit them with it.
They'll make it as an AFC. I feel like the Hornets, when I
I
watch,
think
shaking his
they
head.
might sneak in there.
yeah, they may sneak. The reason why I say is because like the
tiptoe
Hornets,
in.
let me tell you,
Tiptoe.
The only way the Hornets would succeed long term is they got to let those young guys, Malik Monk and Dwayne
gotta let them
Bacon,
play.
They got to let them boys play. Like, you look at the games, like, they don't have any spark when they're out there playing on that floor. Kemba brings the energy. Dwight, he's going to be Dwight at the end of the day. But you look at Nicholas Batum and you look at Marvin Williams, he has his nights as well. But, MKG, I just feel like you got to let those young guys play, man. Like, Malik Monk is an awesome player. Dwayne plays the wing, know how to shoot the ball, draw the cup, finish everything.
Were you mad when they sent him down to the G League?
Of course. Like, Dwayne Bacon is, let me tell you, if you let this man come off the bench and play, you seen what he did in the beginning of the season when they let him get some burn and let him get some, quality minutes on that floor. So I feel like with the Hornets rotation, it's killing them. Because at the end of the games, when it's crunch time, you got Jeremy Lamb on the floor. You got, like certain people on the floor that should not be there at that time.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense. So I feel like once they can kind of get that rotation going and get more young guys involved and bring that energy back to this team, that's when they'll be able to, reach their ceiling and grow a little bit more.
This is the last question I'm gonna ask. I don't want Q Kelly to answer this at all.
That's putting so much pressure on me.
Oh my!
True or false? Willie Taggart's tenure at Florida State will be better than Jimbo Fisher's.
Yes, absolutely.
That means more AC championships
And more national championships. Mm-hmm.
Well, you both.
Nobody expected Jimbo to leave this soon. I mean, Florida State is a destination job. You go there and you stay in that job until you retire.
There's bigger spots.
Where?
Texas football isn't bigger than Florida
Josh,
State.
don't ever
Texas?
Stop it. Texas, the
You say
richest
Texas?
football program in
Nobody
America.
want that problem at Texas. Nobody want to go there. And
Y'all
get
must have
booted
forgot
out
what
2
Texas
years.
was. Vince Young, Texas.
I think Texas forgot who Texas is.
It's been over 10 years,
We're
Josh.
keeping it
So
above.
you telling me Florida State is the biggest college football job?
never said that.
hands
Let me tell you,
down.
It's not even the top 5.
It's not the top
Don't
5.
ever-
What's your
no.
top
Alabama,
5?
Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Notre Dame. That's the top 5.
USC.
USC. Oh yeah, USC.
First of all,
USC.
let me
Everybody
tell you-
wants to play USC
Let me break it down
football.
to you.
I hadn't heard anything about USC since Reggie Bush, but I mean,
Wow.
We've heard.
Disrespect.
Listen, let me tell you.
The
Let me tell you,
disrespect.
Josh. Let me tell you, Josh.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you why Willie Taggart will have a great team.
Nah, I don't want you. I didn't want you to answer. 'Cause you're gonna be biased.
Yeah, no,
You
I'm not
be
gonna be biased. I'm being totally honest, bro. When you look at the state of Florida in football, everybody know to win the state of Florida, what do you have to do? You rope off South Florida and get those recruits.
You
You recruit heavy. Willie Taggart is one of the best recruiters in the nation. Oregon was going to very well finish out top 10 in their recruiting class this year if it wasn't for Willie Taggart leading to go to Florida State. Not only that, man, in South Florida, he coached down there at USF as well. He
got connections all over.
He got connections.
You know, you're gonna probably bring in the OC Dugans.
Exactly. He's gonna bring in Dugas.
You know,
as well.
I mean, Deion
Florida
Sanders
State
might come
guy.
in or whatever.
Listen, if they Neon Deion coming in, it's a wrap.
It's over.
Like there's nothing.
He
like,
in every
what?
DB. In
Y'all
South
do
Florida.
realize there was a
Every
time
DB.
where y'all was like the 3rd best school in your own state. Because you had Miami.
I mean, that's
you
a
had
long
Florida.
time ago. I don't
Long
remember
time
that.
ago, Josh.
A long time
That
ago.
was about 2 years ago.
No, that
Don't
wasn't 2
ever
years
go
ago.
over
They won
that.
the national
Goodness.
championship. No, we're not doing that.
He's not
We're
doing
not
that.
doing that.
You know what?
Let me tell you what.
Today, not
You know what?
today.
Florida State, man, let me tell you, it's a destination spot.
It is
and what
definitely a
Willie's going to do
destination
is
spot.
bring out that juice that Florida State is missing. Jimbo is a very traditional guy. He was, coached under with, Nick Saban at LSU. So he's very traditional in the way he approaches what he does.
Coach
But
Tigers a shot in the arm.
he's a shot in the arm. And with those guys from university, when you got guys in South Florida kids, you got to be able to relate to those guys. You got to tailor your style of coaching to how they are used to playing. And the best way to do that is get a guy that can relate to these guys. So with the talent and the resources that Florida State has, and to be able to put together a recruiting class that's going to be able to run his system, the sky's the limit for Florida State.
Well,
Think
you be
about how many
talking that
recruits-
rah-rah,
Think about
I
how many
swear.
Listen.
Florida State has so many
You be
4 and
talking that
5
rah-rah.
star recruits sitting on the bench that Jimbo wouldn't play till their 3rd or 4th year. Willie's going to let those guys play.
I swear. When
That's why they're
Jimbo,
unprepared when
They're
when they're
unprepared.
called.
when
When they're
Jimbo
called.
first got to Florida State, Jimbo Fisher, I swear, if you knew this guy, Jimbo Fisher, he's better than Bobby Bowden. Jimbo Fisher this.
I mean, he
Jimbo
brought a
Fisher that.
national
He brought-
championship.
Let me tell you.
Oh, and
Not
now I
to take
switch
any,
up on him.
no, I'm not taking anything from
And-
Jimbo. We never said that he was a bad coach. We
This
just
man
said-
did.
No, this Jimbo
Oh.
style of
This
coaching.
man
The
did.
reason why I say Jimbo towards the latter part of his years became a bad coach because you look at it with those athletes you have. Why are you the 4th slowest offense in the country? Why are you consistently not going forward on 4th down when you flip the field? That doesn't make sense if you know football. As well as just not putting guys in the right position to win football games. A lot of times when you got 4 and 5 star recruits sitting on the sideline, not letting them get burned, not letting them get experience, when it's time for them to play, they're not ready. So you look at Jimbo, his style of coaching and his message that he was putting to the team was not reaching those players anymore.
So
he was falling on deaf ears.
You think Alabama don't have 4 and 5 star recruits sitting on the bench? Had that same problem? But they winning, ain't they? But they winning, ain't they?
But the style of football that's been played. Let me say, when Nick Saban, and I'm gonna go. Why do you think in the last couple of 3 or 4 years, Alabama's offense been so good?
Because they stick to the system.
And who was the offensive coordinator?
Here you go with the same old thing.
Who was the offensive Lane Kiffin. And what Lane Kiffin does.
So hold on, time out. Matter of fact, you're right. Because I know what you're about to say.
He tailors his offense according to the players that he has.
So who's going to win the national championship this year?
And let me finish my thought.
Who's going to win it?
Let me finish my thought process.
Oh, my God.
Let me say exactly. With Alabama, they started.
Clemson stays in the ACC.
Exactly.
3 straight.
Oh, my gosh. Y'all don't believe that, do y'all?
Well, not 3 straight, I'm sorry.
Y'all don't really believe that.
Yeah,
let me tell you something. Yeah. And you look at Alabama, man, and if you look at the game Clemson as well, Clemson has the best, to me, front 4 in the country right now. Arguably, they have the most talented wide receiver core, which everybody know. Alabama right now, 2 of their starting linebackers are out right now for the bowl games. So, I mean, for the playoffs. So, you look at it right now, how much pressure are those linebackers going to have to take playing in the slot with Hunter Renfrow, which has been killing Alabama for the last 2 years?
Last 2 years?
I mean, yeah, the last 2 years.
Last 1 year.
No, last 2 years, because of the first national championship game, he went off against them too as well.
And what happened that game?
They lost, and they came back, and he killed them again. And guess what? They made him pay for it. So what you got, your 2 starting linebackers out for the game right now. That put a lot of pressure on your secondary as well, and that put a lot of pressure on backup linebackers to play. And when you going against the best wide receiver core in the country and up-tempo offense, it can be hard to stop Clemson.
Like I said, he sounds so poetic when he's breaking down.
You
this
do sound
dome.
Pretty poetic.
He sound poetic,
you
right?
You sound reputable
now
like
watch.
a mug.
When you come back next week, when you watch, or when you see Alabama beat Clemson,
So what do you
they don't
think?
even make it.
I'm not agreeing to that.
Oh, I already know Clemson
I'm
will beat
going
Alabama.
Clemson all the way.
Look,
I'm going Clemson.
If you look back on all our podcasts, when he's going off on these rants, sounding poetic, sounding like Colin Coward.
Oh my God,
he's going
off. Oh,
off.
you could have found somebody better to
Exactly.
compare him to now.
That's his favorite guy right there.
Well,
Colin
look,
Coward.
I just like Colin Coward. You know
Really?
what I'm saying? Yeah, I think he's good.
I think you're one of the first to admit that.
Yeah, I do. I'm not gonna lie. With Shannon Sharp, okay, Shannon Sharp.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
If you look back at all our podcasts, he's always wrong. Like it sounds so good, but he's always wrong.
No, I'm not.
Kenzie knows.
Let me tell you.
You said, hold on, no. You said Alabama wouldn't beat Florida State. You were wrong. You said the KB trade was bad and we would lose.
Well, look,
you were wrong.
I thought the KB trade was bad too. I think that everybody was like, this offense is already struggling. It didn't make any sense. It made sense financially.
Whoa, time out. Wait,
financially, it did.
So when Marty Herney said KB and Devin Funchess are the same player, let's get rid of the richest one, the one we're paying the most. And plus, that guy wasn't on our Super Bowl team and we were just fine. That guy we were struggling with. That guy couldn't even get off the ball that fast. He was catching in traffic. No release. And look at us now. It made sense to me.
Josh.
It made sense to me.
Let me tell you something. At the time when Carolina was...
hindsight is always 20/20.
Exactly. Because
everybody's like, who's Cam going to throw it to? He's going to throw it to himself. I mean, you even saw the memes where the guy threw the ball and then ran the car. I mean, I reposted it because I thought that was
now, didn't I tell y'all?
But,
didn't I tell you in Vashta? I said, Christian McCaffrey, because everybody's saying force feed. I said, it's going to free up more. I told you that Russell Shepard was going to stick up.
If he's used correctly.
And
Carolina
he is now.
But Carolina spent a large part of the season using Christian McCaffrey unsuccessfully. And it took like 5-6 games into the season where they were like,
it was going to happen. Time is of the essence. But I'm going to say this. This is my closing thoughts, though. Y'all better be glad I let you off the hook about college basketball because it is college basketball season now.
I mean,
and there's nothing you can say about Carolina.
There's
nothing you can say about Carolina. No Florida State fan.
First of all,
hold on. You say no. Did y'all just lose to Wofford?
Exactly.
Oh, hold on.
This isn't a weakness.
Hold on. When's the last time Florida State? I'm gonna do the same thing you did to me in college football. When's the last time Florida State won anything?
What do you mean AC championship?
No, national championship.
Huh? Oh shoot, we went to the
I said national championship
with Charlie Ward.
Oh no, you laughing over there, NC State fan? When's the last time y'all won the national championship?
1976.
Whoa, I wasn't even. Oh
I
my
said that.
God.
I think it was
it's 80.
76.
Yeah, I think it was 80 with.
It was in the 80s?
No, 1977 with David Thompson.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 77. I mean, I know that because, they still, live by
That's
that.
right,
But
yeah.
still.
Well, hold on. Ask me the question. Ask me the
Okay.
question.
I don't want to ask you the question. I don't want to ask you
There's
the
no point.
question.
Let me
You know what? No, we gonna.
Well, listen, I'm going to need your starting point guard to not get mad at a 2K game and break his hand anymore.
Exactly.
Dang,
That's
he's
what
just
I'm
gonna
gonna
put
need.
ice down with that ring he got from last year. But anyway, like I said,
Well,
you know what?
I actually like them, so I'm not going to joke them too hard.
But you know what? We're gonna have a part 2. You're gonna have to come back. You know that, right?
I got you.
Not for real.
I'm serious.
And with all the predictions you made, we gonna get you.
Make sure you write them down
Exactly.
now, because
Oh,
my
yeah.
predictions
We got
have
them on
pretty
record.
much been on point.
We got them on
Exactly.
record. But go ahead and shout out social media. You know
My
what I'm saying?
social media is Sheena_Marie, the number 3. That's my Instagram, my Twitter. I have a YouTube channel, Out the Blocks with Sheena Marie. I also have a website, quickouttheblocks.com. It's kind of a play on my last name and the fact that I ran track and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
I like
you can
it,
find
though. I like
all
it.
your sports and entertainment updates, headlines. Let me know what you guys think of the site. I just launched it on Black Friday for the culture.
Oh, that's lit.
I like that.
So
I like
I
that.
still write for BSO. So I'm covering NFL, NBA, NCAA, NASCAR,
Wow.
which I think is very
What's up?
important that we have a presence there. So, I just interviewed Bubba Wallace a couple months ago now.
Right.
It's the first African American driver on the NASCAR circuit.
Wow.
That's what's
Yeah.
up.
So, they're making waves. And, you have Breonna Daniels. She's the first African-American female tire changer in NASCAR. And I've been interviewing her since she was just a hopeful in the combine.
That's what's
So,
up.
I'm trying to just open more avenues up and just kind of, give people a format that they I'm trying to give people a vibe that they can't get nowhere else.
That's
What's up? I
that's
rock
what
with
we
that.
need.
I rock with that. Man, thank you for coming on
Thank
today.
Thank you
We had a
guys
great-
for having me.
Great
Man, I had a good
convo.
time.
For real, great convo, great discussion. We're going to have you back again. More on No Boundaries podcast. Shout out to Sheena Quick. Hey, look, that's love. BSO
That
love.
really is.
You know what I'm saying? One love, no boundaries, we out.
We out.